I'm against cannibalism, you know. As you all know, as any of you know that follow me on the Google space, WW, I have gone across this country with my anti-cannibal stance, you know, talking to people from one side of this great nation to the other. Every year I put my toe in the Pacific and I travel this great land with my anti-cannibal message. You know? Mostly the young people. I try to educate the young people. You know, I go to the schools and I go, listen. You might think that you're going to be the cool guy because you eat a dude friend of yours, you know? And maybe you will for a couple of years, you know? Maybe you'll be the big man on campus. Oh, that's Jim. He ate a fella. But there's more to it than that. No, I use my time for you know what I do? I do a lot of charity work for things that people, I don't like arguing with people, you know, when they have another opinion than me. So what I do is I pick very popular opinions, and then I work for those people. And what I was going to say was that as a anti-cannibal guy, it would never occur to me to do the same thing as she does with her tofurkey. I would not take all my delicious cheese sandwiches and fashion them into the shape of some old rotting corpse of some dude and then eat that. That would make it less tasty than the cheese sandwich itself, to me. But listen, it's easy to go around saying, hey, I'm against cannibalism. Oh, I'm anti-cannibalism. Look at me. I'm better than everybody else, you know. I know it's easy to say because I say it every day to people. But actually, when you think about it, you don't really know how you're going to, you know, how your cannibalism beliefs are going to stand up under when it comes up. Because you'll notice in life, cannibalism rarely comes up. There's always some cheese sandwiches around you can find, you know? But what about when you're in the Andes? No? Then all bets are off. You have to wrestle with your conscience because you're in the Andes. I don't even know why people go to the Andes, but they do. They go, hi, listen, travel agent, me and the wife, Ruth, you know Ruth, we're going, we got to get away from the kids again this year. We got to go to Island. We were hoping something on the other side of the Andes. Anything you got there? We just want to relax, lay on a hammock or something, and we want to go to a nice place that is separated from where we are now by the Andes. And got any small planes? We like flying in small aerofoils. In the dead of winter. You got anything like that? And they're like, yeah. So you get on the plane, and, you know, 20 minutes later, you crash into a mountain, you know, because everyone knows it's on the boarding pass. It says, layover, a mountain. No. So you crash into the mountain, and then, you know, you gotta wrestle with your conscience, you know, because, you know, you're down there, and the guy in 24E is looking pretty delicious. And so days turn into weeks, and weeks turn into months. Months, you know how time works, right? I don't have to explain everything. Then becomes now. So and then you have to wrestle with your conscience because you're like, my conscience. And your conscience is very, you know, if you don't want to wrestle with your conscience because, you know. So, although it's not as hard as wrestling with an actual wrestler, I find. If you have your choice between wrestling with your conscience and wrestling with a professionally trained wrestler, I'd take the conscience because it doesn't even have arms. And for wrestling, like the headlock is the biggest move. If you don't have arms. So anyways, you're wrestling with your conscience and you're like, oh man, should I eat that guy in 24E? I don't know. He looks pretty good, but I don't think it's right and all this stuff. And then time goes on and you get, and instead of just acting right away, which would probably be the smarter thing, you know, you wait way too long and months pass and then you go crazy and then you go after Frank, that's his name, in 24E, and you're just, you're so hungry now, you're tearing into him, you're like, Frank, blood all over you and everything, you know? Anyways, and that's the last, and this is what you don't want to happen at that point, is for the rescue plane to come over at that very moment, you know? Well, you're like, what the? They're like, we have hamburgers and hot dogs here on the plane, and delicious cheese sandwiches, everything you want here. You're like, what? It's a lot of snow.
And Albert Fish was born on this day in New York City in 1870.
Who the fuck is Albert Fish?
What?
Who the fuck is Albert Fish?
Oh, Albert Fish?
I've never heard of that guy.
He was known as the Gray Man.
The Grain Man?
The Gray
the
Man.
Grain.
The werewolf of Wisteria.
I
You know why he was known as the Gray Man? Because he was a serial killer. He slayed children and ate them. He's a cannibal. But when the police asked a woman to describe him, and she said he was gray in both appearances and demeanor. Very bad description.
This is like Arsenio when it was woo.
Yeah, woo.
Well,
But
I'm
anyways,
pretending I know who Albert Gray is. I didn't.
no, Albert Fish.
Oh,
You're a New Yorker. So anyways, he was a child rapist and cannibal, as I explained.
when he says child
Jesus
rapist, you try not to
Christ.
laugh when he looks at you.
Oh,
There's
come
something
on, man. It's not
I
funny.
know it's not, but I know you. But I know you want people to laugh. When
But
you say
Fish boasted that he had children in every state. Now, I would not boast about that. I don't think you would. I don't think you'd do it. But if you did do it, you certainly wouldn't boast about
Not
it.
at all, sir.
You'd take that to the grave with you. But he boasted.
But they say they
Anyways.
eventually all
Jesus.
sing like a canary
They do say that?
about murderers, right?
yeah, they,
You know,
right,
they
want,
brag to a
eventually want
friend.
be caught,
Right.
yeah.
When Norm bragged, sorry.
But Fish, this is interesting. Fish chose his victims. He only chose victims who were either mentally handicapped. Now, don't laugh at this next part, please.
But you know he wants you to, right?
No, if you laugh at this next part.
Okay, and I'm not going to
Fish
drink
chose
water.
victims who were either mentally handicapped or African American. Oh, come on. Why would you think that's funny? God damn, Fred. Jesus Christ, that was the worst part of the story. Okay, but why do you think he did that? What would be the explanation? Why would he only attack? Why would his victims that he chose only be either mentally handicapped or African Americans?
Because people in those days didn't care when those people were vanished.
You're
right.
thinking like
Right.
Albert Fish now.
And prostitutes, that's why they kill
That's right.
prostitutes.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
Nobody
right.
really cares
No.
about prostitutes.
Well, it's like that comedian that would rape people at comedy club. No, in colleges.
Yes, Vince Champ.
They
friend.
always said his great gimmick was that people would think who did it, and they never, because he'd go on to another town and another college. But
Yeah.
when people say, "What about the comic?"
Yeah. Maybe the worst gimmick a comic ever had. But anyways, but you were exactly right. That's why Albert Fish killed only mentally handicapped and African Americans.
What about? Okay.
I thought you'd laugh at African Americans again, that they were.
No, because I know him. I know he'll do something. That's outrageous. How
Well, it's
dare
kind of
you.
outrageous for you. But anyways, Fish tortured, mutilated, and murdered the youngsters. They were children. With a meat cleaver, a butcher knife, and a small hand saw.
Jesus.
God, you.
This is the topical portion?
Yeah.
This is the birthday.
And he solidified his reputation as the most vicious child slayer in criminal history.
Oh,
Though
you know who
barely
was?
literate, Fish wrote taunting letters to the parents of his victims, gruesomely detailing
Jesus.
how he slayed, butchered, cooked, and then with great enjoyment dined on their offspring. He would inevitably declare that a child's roasted rump was the most toothsome dish in all of gastronomy. Additionally,
you make
Fish
me-
was
I
a
never heard this
masochist. Get this. And he would insert wool doused with lighter fluid into his own anus and set it alight for his own enjoyment. Fish was finally arrested, and he immediately began confessing to killing 700 children.
Get out of here.
Yes, and he was dizzyingly happy about it. Smiled as he described the grisly details of the tortures and the murders, appearing to the detectives. And one of the detectives said he appeared as the devil himself. I mean, this guy was a real jerk.
Now I know there was no Albert Fish.